Alright, man, what a way to win, bruh. There's so many big time takeaways to take from this game. We're going to talk about time of possession. We're going to talk about converting third downs. We're going to talk about finally getting turnovers. Like I've been saying for weeks, even when our defense has been suffocated and they've been really good, the difference between our defense and an elite defense is turnovers. We're finally starting to put together consistent turnover forcing games. That is huge. I'm telling y'all, that's what makes a difference between a really good defense and an elite defense. You need those plays. This game would be completely different without turnovers. Also, another big takeaway, again, we're going to dive into all of this in the video. Y'all know how I do. We're going to talk about every position group, starting with quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line. We're going to go player by player, talk about everybody that contributed anything, whether good and or bad. Some players had good moments and bad moments. We're going to talk about both for every player that had an impact on this game, and we're going to go position group by position group. We're going to talk about coaching decisions and all of that type of stuff. But also, man, shouts out to the Texans, man. The Texans showed us how to beat the Eagles. They gave us the blueprint. Now, granted, we probably would have tried to run the ball against them anyway, because whatever we tried to do against them that last time didn't work, and I feel like we probably would have went in with this game plan anyway. But the Texans literally handpicked us, gave us the blueprint heading into this game with the way that they played against the Eagles, making that game interesting the week before. And the way we're going to thank the Texans, this is the best part to me. The way we're going to show them thank you is we're going to beat them the following week. We're going to say thank you for showing us how to beat the Eagles last week, and we're going to beat you this week. I love it, man. I mean, of course, we can't go into that game cocky or nothing, but we can also look at what the Eagles did against the Texans to beat the Texans. So, hey, man, let's get it, man. Of course, we're going to dive into everything that happened. Y'all know this is a very great win. I think one of the things that I like is that we're finally going to actually be talked about on ESPN and First Take, Undefeated, all of these different shows, Good Morning Football, all of that type of stuff. You know how we normally just get brushed over in 2 minutes? You can't deny talking about us after we beat the only undefeated team in the NFL. A lot of people's best team in the NFL, a lot of people's Super Bowl favorites, and we're in the best division in football. Remember that statistic during the game, before the game ended, before we beat the Eagles. As a combined record, we had like a 70% record as a division, which is an NFL record through the first 10 games of any season ever in NFL. We literally are in the best division in football, and sadly, we just beat the best team in football, and we're still last place in division by a whole win. We're not even tied for last place. 5 for 5 is first place in other divisions, is last place in the NFC East, sadly. We still have a chance to make it to the playoffs. We play the Giants twice, we play the Cowboys again. Gotta win those games. But back to my main point, a game like this, man, those television programs that love to just gloss over us briefly, all they talk about is the negative stuff, Dan Snyder and stuff, they have to talk about us tomorrow. So I'm excited. I haven't watched Undisputed or First Take any of those in probably like a couple of weeks, if that. I'm tuning in tomorrow to hear what they got to say. Really, the only time I've turned my TV on to, or even checked out what ESPN or anybody had to say recently, was for my Georgia Bulldogs after we beat Tennessee. And other than that, Commanders-wise, because even when they do talk about us, they talk about us briefly. And now, granted, I can see them also hating and making it a thing about, well, the Eagles lost this game more than the Commanders won it. So, when in doubt, I know I have Chris Sims, because Chris Sims is very objective. He breaks down every game, every week, literally all of the games, all of that. He's gonna actually give an objective opinion on what happened, and he's gonna, at the very least, he's gonna give us our credit. So I'm really excited about tuning into all of the shows and seeing who's actually gonna give us the credit we deserve. But either way, great win. Of course, before we dive into this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. The live stream was so fun today. We were so nervous. We were so happy. We were so sad. We were so disappointed. We were so surprised. We were literally every range of emotions. I mean, just that one fumble near the end of the game, Benjamin St. Juste gets beat deep. We're like, oh, the game is over. Here it is. Forced fumble, Derek Forrest picks it up. Oh, we're good again. Like all of those emotions in one play. Upset, disappointed, sad. More so like a, oh, here we go again. And then hope came back once the fumble. And oh my lord, there was just so many range of emotions all throughout the game. But that one play specifically probably had the widest range of just like eight completely different emotions, both negative and positive and neutral. Man, but yeah, man. I stream every Commanders regular season game, and I'm speaking it into existence postseason game as well. Play-by-play analysis the whole time. We laugh and we learn together. And let's go ahead and dive into this video. Let's get it. All right, so starting with the quarterback, Taylor Heinicke. Honestly, one of his better games of the season. Because again, even through the win streak, he would only give us maybe one, maybe two good quarters, if that, on our win streak. Today, I would say he would probably gave us the most quarters of quality quarterback play that we've gotten from him all season, maybe. I would say, I mean, the Vikings game, he was pretty good at times, but then that game-losing interception was probably one of his worst throws and decisions I've ever seen him make, so that took away from the quality quarters he actually had that game. And then again, the Colts game, he may have given us one good quarter. The last 5 minutes of the game, that was it, really. But today, he actually put together, like, solid drives, solid quarters. I mean, the forced fumble on him in the beginning of the game was not his fault. That was a strip sack. That was Charles Leno, which is sad too, because he's been our most consistent, healthiest, and most dependable offensive lineman. When he got beat by that strip sack like that early in the game, I was like, oh yeah, this is about to be a long day. But the offensive line held up for the most part. We're going to talk about that when we get to the offensive line too. I'm excited talking about the offensive line. But staying on topic, quarterback Taylor Heinicke. And man, I can't wait to talk about Joey Slye. We got to talk about him. But Taylor Heinicke, probably his best game as far as how long he was good. Like as many drives he put together, how well he played. May not have been like his best performance overall by how many plays he made, but like of the duration of time of possession and quarters that he actually was a quality quarterback, today probably was his best day. But that interception to Terry McLaurin was horrible for many reasons. First of all, he threw it inside instead of outside when Terry McLaurin had his man easily beat. And we're going to talk about Terry McLaurin later and why I'm so upset about this play, because Terry McLaurin was literally that play away from having his career highest receiving yards in the game. Taylor Heinicke just said, forget that. You're not doing nothing today. You got 128 receiving yards. You're done. He threw it inside instead of outside when all of the safety help and everything was to the inside. Literally wide open with 3 yards to his left, I believe. Wide open. Easily could have thrown it outside. He threw it too short instead of too high. The accuracy was just terrible. And then Antonio Gibson was also open underneath for an easy first down. Completely unnecessary interception. Bad decision. And then even though the decision wasn't bad in itself, it's just that you had Antonio Gibson open as well. That was just a terrible throw. But at the same time, the Terry McLaurin deep ball throw that he threw to his right was beautiful. One of his best throws of his career. I can honestly say Taylor Heinicke has probably thrown all of his best throws of his NFL career this season. He had one to Terry McLaurin for a touchdown. I mean, that was just so beautiful a few games ago. And then today he had this one. Again, up and down performance from him, but that's what you expect from a Taylor Heinicke. And of course, I want to see Sam Howell before the season ends. But I mean, honestly, the way we played against the Vikings, we should have won that game. We should have won the Tennessee Titans game. We should literally be 7-3. And 7-3 sounds like playoff contender, potential Super Bowl contender any day. We're literally just a couple of plays. Maybe if Taylor Heinicke's just starting quarterback instead of Carson Wentz in that Titans game, maybe we win that. And then the Vikings game, if Benjamin St. Juste gets that pick six, it's a domino effect. First of all, we're up super double digits, like 17. The game's probably over. Taylor Heinicke doesn't even have a chance to throw that interception because our defense is on the field instead. I mean, it's just like we should have won that game. But my main point is, even the fact that we lost to the Vikings, how well we played against them and how we matched up against them, and then the fact that they went and beat the Bills, and then even how well we played against the Titans, and a lot of people still feel like they're a strong playoff contender, and then the fact that we just beat the Eagles, we can keep up with the best of them. We're not sorry. We're not terrible. A lot of it's coaching, a lot of it's offensive line, and then a lot of it is the quarterback. Other than that, man, we are set, man. We honestly are. We have the pieces to be a great team. The defense is crazy. And after a nice little draft, adding some more talent and some free agent help and stuff like that, our defense can literally be top 3. And then we still haven't even gotten Chase Young back, and we should be getting them back against the Texans. We'll probably be on somewhat of a pitch count, but to get that level of explosion on the other side of Montez Sweat is going to be huge, because, I mean, I appreciate what James Smith-Williams, Casey Tua, and F.A. Obata have done for us, but, I mean, they pretty much disappeared in this game. I mean, they made a couple of plays between those groups of people, but just imagine Chase Young on the opposite side of Montez Sweat right now, man. That's going to be crazy. But, I mean, again, our problems are coaching at times, especially Ron Rivera's clock management, situational awareness, and Scott Turner's play calling, offensive line, and quarterback. From Carson Wentz to Taylor Heineke, they've been the reasons we've been losing a lot of our games or barely winning, clawing our way to wins and stuff like that. Once we fix that, my main takeaway from this, I have a lot of takeaways, and I've already talked about a couple, but my main takeaway is that we can hang with anybody. So I hope when we go into this Texans game, we don't play down to their level. Because if you beat the Eagles, well, technically we beat the Eagles 26 or 26 to 21, I believe. I think that's technically how we beat them. Yeah, 26 to 21. But then that fumble at the end made it 32, so it looked like we just had the game won from the very beginning. But either way, we beat the Eagles. We should have beat the Vikings. We should have beat the Titans. We literally can hang with anybody. Now, maybe there are teams out there that match up better against us, and like if we would have played the Chiefs or the Dolphins because they have high-flying offenses, then we would struggle to cover like a Tyreek Hill or like now Kadarius Toney with Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Maybe we have bad matchups that we will have to deal with, but overall, we are one of the better teams in the NFL as far as like the way our roster is constructed. And again, we're just a few pieces away from being an elite defense. And again, I'm gonna keep saying that our skill position players, teams out there that have better records than us, are jealous of our skill position players. Our receiving core, running back, and tight end room, when healthy, is one of the best in the NFL easily. I feel like at the very least top 8. There's really good teams out here with better records than us that are considered Super Bowl contenders that don't have as good of a skill position team as us. So my main point is we are set up for success. We just got to fix a couple of things. It's easier said than done than to get more consistent play calling, than to find a franchise quarterback. It's way easier said than done. But if we can do that, we are a problem in the NFL for sure. Moving on from Taylor Heineke, because we're not going to talk about him too long. I mean, he had a good game for the most part, but he also had some really bad moments, but he also had some really good moments. Again, I mean, he's from the Metro Atlanta area, so if anybody wants Taylor Heineke to be the best quarterback of all time, it's me. I want him to go out there and be a Hall of Famer. I'm just a very objective Commander fan, so I'm going to admit when he's holding us back. Today, had a couple of moments of holding us back, but he played a good game today, probably his best game overall, outside of that terrible throw to Terry McLaurin. Golly. Running back-wise, love what we did today. Brian Robinson, 26 carries. Antonio Gibson, 14 carries. Now, I prefer Antonio Gibson to get more carries than Brian Robinson, but when you do that, when Antonio Gibson has that many less carries than Brian Robinson, and we're not dependent on him to be our top running back, that allows him to make plays in the kick return game. And that first kickoff, I believe, of the entire game, literally 15 minutes left in the first quarter, initial kickoff, that was a really good return. And that got things started a little bit, made us truly believe, hey, man, we can do something against these Eagles. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice little return. Let's get right. You know what I'm saying? And so also he got hurt for a while. So that's another reason why there's such a large disparity between carries. But 49 carries, but out of everybody, Taylor Heineke technically had 5, most of them off of scrambles. Curtis Samuel had 4, Antonio Gibson had 4, Brian Robinson had 26, and we rushed for 152 yards. Now, on a per carry basis, that's not good, but it got the job done, and we outran the Eagles, which is something most teams can't say. We outrushed the Eagles. I mean, we out everything. We out passing yarded them, out rushing yarded them, everything. And we dramatically out time of possession them. 40 minutes, 24 seconds to their 19 minutes and 33 seconds. And it was worse than that before those last couple of drives where they were moving the ball and they were trying to hurry up and score and running their hurry up offense. Oh, one thing I want to note too while it's on my mind, because I'm not exactly sure when I would bring this up later and I may forget, but they were really arrogant down 21-26 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, running the ball and letting the clock run out. To me, that basically said that, oh yeah, we can go down there and score a touchdown on them. Let's make sure we go and chew up as much clock as possible, automatically score this touchdown, because we're just going to assume we're going to get it. And so all of that arrogance led to that fumble, I believe. I think that was the Derek Forrest fumble recovery off the Benjamin St. Juste that played down the field where they almost scored a touchdown. They went from scoring a touchdown to fumbling the game away. But that arrogance, I was talking to the stream. I'm like, does anybody else notice that they're running the clock out on their own like 25-yard line with 3 minutes 30 seconds left, down 5, not even down 3 or less, down 5. They just assume they're going to get a touchdown to the point that they're going to run the clock out while down. down? They just assume they're going to go down there and get this touchdown, and they just don't want our offense to be able to score on their defense. I thought that was very arrogant of them, and I'm so glad that we shut them up and won this game, because that was crazy. That was super disrespectful. I don't think people noticed that. All right, but going back to the running backs, love what I saw from those guys. Brian Robinson, this was your best game today. I mean, it was your most yards as well, I believe, with 86, and he had a touchdown. That reach out touchdown was beautiful. First of all, the strength to get it, and then to reach the ball out, and then he didn't even fumble it. You know, people normally reach the ball out for a touchdown, then fumble it. He had that crazy grip on with the one arm. Remember, he never fumbled in college. It shows right there, because most people fumble trying to extend the ball to reach for a touchdown. He didn't even fumble with one arm out and people trying to hit the ball. That was beautiful. But this was his best game, because even though, love the fact that he's been playing football for the past few weeks after just getting shot just a few months ago, but he hasn't been 100%, and today was the first time he kind of looked close to 100%. I would still say he's probably somewhere in the 90s, but he's been looking like 70s and 80s really up into this game. This was the best game, just like explosion and strength wise. I mean, he was actually carrying people today. He does kind of have a problem where he is a bulldozing running back kinda, but his problem is that he's kind of tall. He's 6'1", and a lot of his weight is in his upper body instead of his legs, so it's kind of tough for him to really carry people like a lot of people think he should. He's not John Riggins. He's not gonna bulldoze people completely. He's not Eddie George. It's none of that. But today he finally started to, I don't know, maybe he was able to keep his pad level lower. I'm gonna have to look at the all 22 footage to confirm. But today he finally showed that strength that we drafted him to have. Today was the first time I really felt like, okay, Brian Robinson is really here. Antonio Gibson, man, making plays in the passing game and the running game. I appreciate you, and kickoff return. Nothing more I can say. J.D. McKissick was out today, so after Antonio Gibson got hurt, we were down to Brian Robinson and Jared Patterson, but Brian Robinson stayed in the game. Even in shotgun, even on passing plays, they kept Brian Robinson in, so that shows trust in him. I'm really proud of them for doing that. And then moving to the receivers, Terry McLaurin, what else can I say? Darius Slay couldn't cover him. Nobody can cover him. It didn't matter what corner or safety was on him. Terry McLaurin was open all game. Literally didn't matter. It was unfair. Absolutely unfair what we did to Darius Slay and those other guys, man. It was super dark, man. I really feel sorry, man. Gardner couldn't cover him. Nobody couldn't cover him. Darius Slay, nobody could cover that man. And they didn't even try. I pointed this out during the stream as well. They didn't even try to get James Bradbury on him. They didn't even try, because they've already seen from him playing for the Giants and playing for the Panthers what Terry McLaurin does to him. So when we went against the Eagles, I was like, okay, they may try to put, no, we not even going to try James Bradbury on Terry McLaurin. They saw what he did to Darius Slay and was like, nope, that confirmed our original thoughts, our initial thoughts. We're not even going to try that today. So they had James Bradbury and everybody but Terry from every play that I saw. But maybe there were some plays he covered them and Terry just didn't get looks, but I don't know. I kind of forgot De'Ami Brown was on the team. That was a nice clutch catch right there for a first down. That was a big moment in the game. And that was a severe underthrow by Taylor Heineke, but he got it to him, and De'Ami Brown had to dive to get it. And so, who else, man? Curtis Samuel, again, the way he's supposed to be used, I got to keep shouting him out just for staying healthy, because after last season, I was worried that we wouldn't be able to even have Curtis Samuel long term. But today, getting open when we need him on first downs in the passing game. Then he had 4 rushes for 12 yards, but he also had 2 catches for 28 yards. Again, all of his catches, I believe, were for first downs. They were huge plays. Jahan Dotson had 1 catch for 14 yards. That 1 first down he got in the red zone. It didn't lead to a touchdown. It led to a field goal, though, and that was big because that made it easier for Joey Slye to kick it. And again, we're going to talk about Joey Slye later. One of the MVPs of the game for sure. But, man, Jahan Dotson, man, I just think him being out there, I think it made it harder to cover Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin had one-on-one coverage all day today for the most part, and I'm used to seeing him double covered for the majority of the day. Today, he was actually single covered quite a bit. I think Jahan Dotson being on the field like that matters, man. You can't double team Terry, so you know you can't double team Terry or Jahan in the single coverage. They're gonna be open. And then who else? Cam Sims had 1 target, but it didn't go anywhere. That was a bad play by Taylor Heineke. It was a late throw, so the DB was able to break it up. That's not really Cam Sims' fault. The only sad part about Jahan Dotson with that catch, even though it was a really good play for 14 yards and a first down, he was 3 of 3 on red zone targets being touchdowns. So literally every time our offense was within the 20-yard line and Jahan Dotson was throwing the ball, it was a touchdown. It wasn't a drop. It wasn't just a simple complete catch. It wasn't even just a first down. It was a touchdown. But today, Finally, now he's 3 or 4 red zone targets for touchdowns, but it was at least a first down, so that's still ridiculous. Jahan Dotson, great to have you back. Still our best red zone target. Terry McLaurin, I like him the most getting up and down the field, but Jahan Dotson is something about him in the red zone that is just a different animal. Tight end group, love the blocking we were getting from those guys. Logan Thomas had a couple of good blocks. Hey, today, Taylor Heinicke didn't overthrow Logan Thomas multiple times by 10 yards over his head. Logan Thomas didn't have to be twice his height to catch passes from Taylor Heinicke today. That was good. He had 2 catches for 12 yards. And man, I'm just so happy. He had 4 targets too, but at least he caught 2 of them for 12 yards. Shouts out to Taylor Heinicke for actually not overthrowing our 6'6" tight end today. And then everybody else, nice blocking. I still want to get Armani Rogers involved in the offense more, because you saw that play he had against the Vikings on 3rd and 1 after that terrible Rivera challenge. 22-yard run off, like a little handoff on the end around. Come on now. That's a guy you got to keep involved in the offense one way or another, but it is what it is. Overall, and before we go to the defense, almost forgot offensive line. I really wanted to talk about them too. That's crazy. Charles Leno, bad first quarter, great last 3 quarters. Andrew Norwell, don't really remember hearing your name much, and we were dominant in run blocking for the most part. Whenever we needed it the most, we were dominant in run blocking. We even had a really nice QB sneak with Taylor Heinicke to pick up a first down one time. We even picked up a 4th down, I believe, off a running play. Yeah, we were 1 for 1. That may have been the QB sneak. It may not have been. I think it was, though. But yeah, great push up front from the interior. Tyler Larson had that one really bad snap. Shouts out to Taylor Heinicke for that heads up play to throw it out of bounds too. That was one of his best plays of the game. Very heads up play. A lot of quarterbacks would panic and try to make something out of nothing instead of just throwing it out of bounds, making it 2nd and 10 rather than 2nd and 30 something. And I don't remember if we ended up scoring on that drive or not, but that may have been a pretty big play right there after the Tyler Larson bad snap. Other than that, I think a pretty good game from him. But offensive line, you kind of got to watch the all 22 to see snap by snap what everybody did. But from what I saw, I thought everybody played fairly well today, especially the interior offensive line. Now, my questions were Cornelius Lucas started. Then Samuel Cosme came in at a certain point and was blocking fairly well. Then we pulled him for Cornelius Lucas. 2 plays later, false start penalty that pretty much kills our drive. And then another couple of plays later, he's the one that allows that huge sack on Taylor Heinicke where we were almost about to score a touchdown. We ended up kicking that field goal in the red zone. So I don't know, maybe Samuel Cosme's still not 100%, but that back and forth between the right tackles was a little weird. It was Cornelius Lucas, then Samuel Cosme, then Cornelius Lucas again. Samuel Cosme may have came back in again at some point. I don't know what that was. Musical chairs at right tackle, but I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to get Samuel Cosme reps in live action until he's healthy. I can't wait to get Chase Roulier and Wes Schweitzer back, because our offensive line I still believe has the potential to be top 10, but we just have a lot of injuries everywhere. But today they stepped up big time. I remember the last time we played the Eagles, I think Carson Wentz got sacked 7 or 9 times. Today, Taylor Heinicke only got sacked 3 times. Now, I do got to give Taylor Heinicke credit for this, because I've already said this. When our offensive line is good, you can argue maybe Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, but with as inconsistent and as banged up as our offensive line has been this season, Taylor Heinicke is the better quarterback for this team. And that shows right there. Because, I mean, granted, the offensive line, I feel like definitely played better this time around against the Eagles. But also Taylor Heinicke's legs and ability to extend plays allowed him to only get sacked 3 times rather than the 7 or 9 times that happened to Carson Wentz just a few weeks ago. And even that play I was talking about where he threw the ball out of bounds after the bad snap, Carson Wentz may have been too slow to even run back enough to even get that off safely. So who knows, man. But yeah, man, offensive line, I'm really proud of y'all today. I mean, there were some bad moments, but overall, pass blocking and run blocking wise, y'all did y'all thing. The running backs can't do what they do without y'all being able to open up holes for them. And I felt like they bullied the Eagles up front at times. When we really needed a 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal on the 1-yard line, 4th and 1, our offensive line was able to get that push they needed up the middle. I'm so happy about that. Going to the defense. Before we go to the defense, Scott Turner, great play calling today. That's rare to say. Every game he has great play calling moments, but overall he usually has bad play calling days. Like, he'll have a couple of good genius moments, like where was this all game, all week and stuff like that, all season. But I mean, eventually ends up going somewhere, dying off. Today was a great play calling day from him today. Wasn't perfect, but this was probably his best play calling day of the year. And I'm not just saying that because we beat the Eagles and we technically scored 25 points or 26 points or something like that. Which is one of our highest scoring games this season, excluding, of course, like whatever that last touchdown on the fumble, it really didn't count. But I mean, just objectively looking play by play, some of the first downs we got on third down were strictly play calling. Even that imaginary penalty on Jahan Dotson where the refs hated, and I can't be too mad because the refs actually gave us a couple of calls like that. Jamin Davis face mask on that fumble, the fact that they didn't see that is crazy because it was very obvious. We shouldn't have even really gotten that fumble, and that gave us 3 points right there. Kind of like a game-changing play. And then even like the way the ref truck stick that one Vikings DB last week. So we can't complain about refs as much as we normally could have. I think today the refs was just bad overall. They gave us some good calls. They gave them some good calls. But that Jahan Dotson call was definitely a bad call. Like they were giving it back and forth. They would hate on the Eagles. They would hate on us. They would hate on the Eagles. They would hate on us. That was definitely some hate. That was a great pick play in my opinion. On third down, we're just trying to run the clock out. I think it's 3rd and 7. We really just want to run the ball, I think, or something like that. And we call, like, Scott Turner calls up the perfect pick play. The refs hate and call a pass interference on Jahan Dotson. I don't feel like it was at all. But Curtis Samuel was wide open down the field, and that play technically didn't count because of the penalty. But, I mean, he has so many great play calling plays today. I mean, just the aggressiveness to enforce your will on the Eagles. I mean, just straight up run up the A gap on 3rd and 1. Dare you to stop us. We're not going to do anything fancy. Stop us. Oh, and that play right there near the end with the late hit on Heineke, I literally called it too. I was like, a lot of people say they just want to run the ball. It's 3rd and 6 or whatever. Just run it. I'm like, nah, that sounds cool. But I think your best option is to give Taylor Heineke the ball. Let it be in his hands. When in doubt, throw the ball if somebody's completely open. If you don't see anything, do not have a turnover, fumble, interception, nothing. Just take the sack. Literally just do that. And then lo and behold, that's literally what we did. But then the Eagles player, number 55, came and hit him on the head and gave us the first down that won the game. But I was so proud of myself for calling that. You can literally go check the receipts on the stream. I literally said just put the ball. I said do a play action bootleg. I think they just went straight out of shotgun, no play action, no nothing. Just straight up. They know we're going to pass it. We know we're going to pass it. Let's make a play. But I basically said some variation of it. Play action bootleg. Just let Taylor Heineke have the ball. If he can run for the first down, great. If he can throw it, even better. But when in doubt, worst case scenario, take a sack and waste time. That's it. And then that ended up happening. So I was glad that me and Scott Turner were on the same page there. Now going to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, defensive line-wise, honestly, Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat were really, I mean, I'm going to have to look at the all-22 to see if they were getting held or if they were just a couple of steps away. But, I mean, then honestly, we didn't play much defensive. We didn't play that many defensive plays. The Eagles ran 47 offensive plays to our 81. So our defense was only on the field for 47 plays. So that's not a lot. But still, it just seemed like Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat, nobody really on our defensive line existed until the 4th quarter, where Jonathan Allen made a great play against the run and also caused the holding penalty on that same. He got held and still made a stop in the run game, but that 10-yard penalty set the Eagles back, and then I think we ended up getting off the field on 3rd down shortly afterwards, so that was big. Then Jonathan Allen had that big sack to basically end the Eagles' last attempt at scoring a touchdown or whatever. That was beautiful. Their last offensive drive or whatever. Montez Sweat had a big sack as well. Oh no, he had the game-winning one, I believe. I think Jonathan Allen had one shortly before that. Either way, I didn't really notice our defensive line until that last quarter. I mean, it didn't seem like nobody was making big plays. They were running the ball against us whenever they wanted to. Thank goodness for our offense keeping the defense off the field. Our offense was on the field so long that the Eagles' defense was just tired by the end of the game. They couldn't cover nobody. They were out of breath. The defensive line was beat up. That's why we were able to just run it up the A-gap whenever we wanted to, basically. And then same goes the other way. Our offense was on the field so much that our defense was able to get rest, and at times they were getting exposed. Like, this was honestly not a great game by the defense today, but our offense was able to stay on the field so long the Eagles barely had the ball. We basically just played keep away, and the defensive line, normally dominant, don't really remember them being dominant this game until the 4th quarter. But hey, we got the win. That's all that matters. I'm gonna need more from y'all though, and hopefully we got Chase Young next week. Linebacker wise, Jamin Davis, an alright game. I feel like he's put together a nice slew of games in a row, but today was kind of like iffy. He had a missed tackle that ended up being like a really nice first down for the Eagles. I believe they scored a touchdown after that as well in the red zone. And John Bostic was kind of late getting there as well. Remember, Jamin Davis, John Bostic, and Khaleke Hudson are our only healthy linebackers on roster right now. And I think Khaleke Hudson probably only played on special teams. So it's either Jamin Davis and John Bostic or Jamin Davis by himself out there, literally. But Jamin Davis, my problem with him today was that he was making a lot of tackles, but they would be like 5 yards down the field. If he was able to diagnose certain plays quicker, especially in the run game, and figure out which hole the running back was going through quicker, a lot of those plays could have been stopped for no gain or maybe 2 at most. Jamin Davis had a bad habit of making tackles 5-6 yards down the field today in the run game. So he had quite a bit of tackles. You look at the stat sheet, you're like, oh, okay. Jamin Davis, you know what I'm saying, led our team in total tackles with 9, 5 solos. You think that's good. And I love Jamin Davis. He's from the Metro Atlanta area. I want him to be great. But again, I'm going to be completely objective and logical with my breakdowns. He just had too many tackles further down the field. And I think that's where Cole Holcomb, we miss him because he's technically our Mike linebacker. Jamin Davis has improved mightily in the run game, but Cole Holcomb is still technically our Mike linebacker. Not having him for the past couple of weeks has hurt us. I mean, maybe he makes enough of a difference against the Vikings to where we win that game because that game was so close. But either way, we miss Cole Holcomb. Jamin Davis is still playing well, and today, I wouldn't say he played poorly today, but it definitely wasn't the past few weeks because he's put together a nice few weeks in a row, making play after play after play, especially against the Colts and the Titans and stuff like that. But today was kind of like a slightly off day. I wouldn't say bad, but it just wasn't the Jamin Davis that I've gotten used to seeing the past few weeks. But he made a couple of good plays today. I love it when he blitzes. I absolutely love it. I think literally he's just basically Zach Brown when it comes to blitzing. Remember Zach Brown? All he could really do well was blitz. Jamin Davis brings that with some run game ability and definitely some pass coverage ability. I believe in his athleticism and pass coverage. We'll work on that though. He's getting better and better. He may never ever live up to his first round pick status, but he's a quality starting NFL linebacker. We don't need to bench him or replace him or give his snaps to somebody else anymore. He needs to be on the field. He's good enough for that, and he's only getting better. Secondary, Kendall Fuller just came off of his best game of the season last week against the Vikings. Then he had a really good game today as well, so I'm really happy about that. Not much to say there. Had a couple of pass breakups. I was noticing throughout the game, we were playing a lot of off man and a lot of match coverage. Not as much zone as we normally do. Normally, Jack Del Rio runs more zone than anything else, and I'm gonna have to look at the all 22 to confirm, but every time I was looking up, especially like in slow motion replays, we were running a lot of off man, and we run a lot of match in general. But Kendall Fuller played really well today. Rashad Wild Goose didn't play today. I believe he was hurt, but Benjamin St. Juice. All right, so I think he can be at the very least an elite cornerback too. Elite. I mean, say you go into this draft, you draft like a Kelee Ringo to be your CB1, Benjamin St. Juice is your cornerback 2. That's arguably the best cornerback tandem in the NFL, I believe. I believe in Benjamin St. Juice that much. I feel like at the very least, he's an elite cornerback 2. If you want him to be your cornerback 1, he's still a really good one. But I prefer him against the Mike Evans, the D-Hops, the Justin Jeffersons, even though he is a route running and a separator. I do not like him against these speedy Devonta Smith, Tyreek Hill guys. I mean, even the way he got beat by buddy, I forgot his name already, Quez Watkins, down the field where he forced that fumble, he was beat on that play pretty badly. Probably the most beat I've seen Benjamin St. Juice all year, except for that preseason game against the Chiefs where somebody killed him with a double move where he was going up, came back, and then went up again. That was the worst I've seen Benjamin St. Juice probably get killed in his NFL career, preseason, regular season, whatever. But either way, man, Benjamin St. Juice on A.J. Brown, loved it. We shut A.J. Brown down today. I mean, granted, he was kind of hurt, but he had 4 targets, 1 catch, 7 yards, and I feel like Benjamin St. Juice is probably the majority of that. But I prefer him on the end. A.J. Brown is still pretty fast, and Justin Jefferson is pretty fast, but I prefer him not on the super slot, speedy, shifty guys like the Edelmans and stuff like that. You know, I want him on the bigger Mike Evans type of guys. The Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, great route runners, but they're still taller contested catch guys that aren't super shifty and super fast with crazy acceleration that can do crazy double moves. I prefer Benjamin St. Juice on the bigger guys, not the quicker guys, but I still feel like he wasn't bad today, but he did get beat a few times. Definitely probably the most I've seen him get beat this season. But again, it wasn't terrible. It still was good enough. He made enough plays in the pass coverage, breaking some things up to where we're good. And I'm assuming Danny Johnson was probably our starting slot corner, but I don't even think he was targeted if he was, because all I saw was Benjamin St. Juste and Kendall Fuller out there every time somebody made a play in the passing game, or maybe even like Jamin Davis, I think, on some screens and stuff. Safety wise, huge, man. Derek Forrest. That interception literally changed the game, man. We were down at the time, I believe. The Eagles had the ball. They were picking up first down after first down. It looked like our defense couldn't stop nothing. And then he comes up with that crazy play to get that interception. I mean, there are NFL receivers that struggle at tracking the ball from behind. The ball is coming from this way, and to be able to look up and catch it like this, you know how hard that is to do, period. Even as a receiver, let alone a safety, a 6th round safety, I believe, 5th round or whatever. Only in his 2nd year, I believe, 3rd year. I think this is his 2nd year, and he barely played last year. He was pretty much practice squad or hurt. So this is kind of his rookie season. That goes back to my point with Benjamin St. Juste as well. Benjamin St. Juste only played in like 5 games last year, and he's already this good. And technically, if we're talking about how many games he's played in and started in, he's still technically a rookie. If you're talking about 17 games a season, he hasn't played in 17 games in NFL career yet. Same thing with Derek Forrest. These guys are learning quickly and becoming stars in front of our eyes. That interception was huge because from there, we went and scored a long touchdown drive. Momentum completely shifted. And there were at times where the Eagles looked like they may have gotten momentum a little bit sometimes. Maybe the momentum was neutral, but we never felt like, oh man, the Eagles got this, we're done type of thing. Us being kind of pessimistic Commanders fans, like the, oh, here we go again type of mentality, we felt that a little, but we never just felt like, oh, the Eagles got this, they about to run away with this game type of thing. It was more so just self-doubt from our past of what we've done, how we fold games after having a lead and stuff like that. But I mean, after that Derek Forrest interception, this game was pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say a wrap, because a lot of great plays happened after that. A lot of pivotal moments happened. Also, shouts out to Jamin Davis for that fumble earlier too. Oh yeah, I think that was John Ridgeway too. I forgot. Talking about the defensive line, John Ridgeway was the one that forced that fumble, and that led to points for us. That was huge. Jamin Davis with the recovery. They didn't call the face mask, whatever. But Derek Forrest, man, and then the fumble recovery off the Benjamin St. Juste forced fumble, huge. 2 turnovers for Derek Forrest there. Fumble recovery and interception. We needed all of them. We probably lose those games without even just one of those. Again, my point in the intro of this video, you need to create turnovers to be considered an elite defense. We're finally doing that. We may get Chase Young back next week. The secondary is communicating and being consistent. Not as many holes. Not as many holes. It's just we're becoming a complete defense now. And you can consider us almost elite. You can debate we are an elite defense. I may do a video on it. Cameron Curl's still balling out. Now, he got beat in coverage a couple of times, I remember. But overall, still a great game. Pro Football Focus, remember, they feel like Cameron Curl is the best safety in the NFL according to their grading system. And they feel like Derek Forrest is the 4th best safety. Cameron Curl today may go down a little bit, but Derek Forrest is definitely going to go up. And as of right now, before their grades come out, they feel like Cameron Curl and Derek Forrest make up the best dual-headed safety tandem in the NFL, easily. But after today, Derek Forrest is probably going to go up. Cameron Curl may go down a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe if you look at the All-22, Cameron Curl was balling out. Either way, I love our safety group right now. Bobby McCain, he was doing well in zone coverage and playing free safety. But when we brought him up to be a slot corner, he got killed one play for like a 15-yard gain. He got killed literally the play right after that. It was like back-to-back plays. They hit a slot receiver one play, killed him. And then they threw the ball to like a tight end near the sideline. The next play killed him. So a lot of people were saying that he's a better slot corner than free safety. Maybe that was true at a point, but right now he's not a good slot corner, and he's actually a pretty good free safety. Not a great one. I do feel like he gets a lot of blame that's not his fault. He gets way too much blame for what happens in this secondary, on this defense, period. But man, shouts out to the secondary in general, man. Y'all are stepping up big time. I'm not saying we are the equivalent of the Georgia defense, but my saying, it's kind of some parallels there. You know, I'm a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan. A lot of people felt like the defense was going to fall off this year because all of our defensive linemen and really our front 7 went to the draft. Our linebackers, defensive linemen, all of that. But first of all, just get it out the way. Jalen Carter, I told y'all that before the season even started. He was our best defensive lineman last year. People didn't want to believe that because they were like, no way. With Jordan Davis and Devonta Wyatt, how is there just another guy that's even better than those guys? You're just trying to hype him up because the other guys left. No, Jalen Carter was the best guy. But even though, regardless, parallels to the Commanders, I mean, the defensive line, we lost Chase Young. The Georgia defensive line lost Jordan Davis and a few guys. But the secondary improved mightily. The Georgia secondary is way better. That's why our defense has been so locked down today. We literally just man covering guys. We're even blitzing. The Tennessee game, we literally man covered and dared you to beat us, and we blitzed with the other guys. Just a lot of man coverage everywhere. Not doing anything fancy. It was just man on man. Are you better than us? No, you're not. Domination. And I feel like, I mean, the Commander secondary isn't that good just yet, but the reason that our defense is so good right now is because our secondary is way better. And I guess William Jackson really was just the odd man out. He couldn't play match coverage. He wasn't good in zone. He wasn't a versatile corner. All of these other guys can. They can play zone, match coverage, and man coverage when necessary, even though Bobby McCain was struggling a little bit in the slot today. But I mean, even though our secondary got less talented when we lost William Jackson, but they got better because of communication, continuity, and just overall knowing where everybody's supposed to be. That's why our secondary is better since William Jackson has stopped playing. And since Cameron Curl came back from injury, remember he missed the first 2 games. So those are the parallels to my Georgia defense that I see, that the defensive line technically kind of, even though Daron Payne is having a career year, maybe that's the Jalen Carter equivalent. Because Daron Payne, even though he disappeared today, he already has more sacks with 5.5 halfway through this season than he's ever had in an entire season in any previous year of his career. So he's having a career year this year. He's trying to get paid. Maybe that's the Jalen Carter equivalent. And then again, losing Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, and all of those guys, and the number 1 overall pick. Can't forget Travon Walker. That's kind of like losing Chase Young. But our defense is still very good, if not slightly better, because our secondary is better. At the very least, they're playing better. They're communicating better. There's less holes. There's less big plays given up. They're only allowing things underneath for the most part. And that's Jack Del Rio's strategy, and that's why our defense is flowing the way it is. And also shouts out to Jack Del Rio, because you've pretty much been our most consistent coach. I didn't like the fact that John Bostic was covering receivers at times this game, but what can you do? You're down to John Bostic being your second linebacker on the depth chart. We just picked them up off the streets. David Mayo and Cole Holcomb are hurt. It's just like, I mean, I can't fault Jack Del Rio too much for that. It's crazy that Jack Del Rio's actually been our best and most consistent coach out of our top 3 by far this season. Scott Turner's been extremely inconsistent. Rivera has been a terrible game manager and situational awareness type of guy. Shouts out to Jack Del Rio, man. You got to give him his credit. Tressway kicked his tail off. Oh, speaking of Tressway and special teams, Jeremy Reeves, that hit stick on that kickoff return, punt return, whatever it was, literally like ignited a match into our defense. It just seemed like after that Jeremy Reeves hit stick on that punt, kick return, whatever, I think it was a kickoff return. I think it was literally the first kickoff return coming back from halftime, it may have been. Literally, you could just see the whole team, even on the sideline, like hyped up, like we can win this game. Let's be the aggressors tonight. You know what I'm saying? Let's be the ones that's delivering the punishment rather than taking it. So shouts out to Jeremy Reeves for igniting something in this team off that big hit. But back to Tressway, kicked his tail off today. I mean, it's not even much more to say about that. Tressway is just a demon. He should be a Pro Bowler every year. He should have been a Pro Bowler every year. It's a crime that he's only been a Pro Bowler once. He better be a Pro Bowler this year. That's all I know. When the Pro Bowl voting comes out, we got to do our part to get him in. Joey Slye, one of the game's MVPs, bruh. I mean, you know, we should actually end it on Joey Slye. Dax Milne, good returning today. Your main job is to not muff punts, especially after the Bears and Packers games where we technically won those games because of muff punts. We got 7 points off the Bears, 3 points off the Packers, ended up winning by less than 3 points against the Packers from what I believe, from what I recollect. Dax Milne, your main objective is not to muff the punt. Just catch it, do what you got to do. But towards the end of that game where we really needed a good punt return before we tried to run out the clock, that was a really nice return. That was one of your best returns. You still look slower than me doing it, but you broke some tackles. You took some good angles. That was a really good return. You took us from like the 40s, 38 to like the 50. That was big, man. I really appreciated that. But, and again, Antonio Gibson, good returning on your end as well. But we got to end it with Joey Slye, man. I mean, enough said. Well, first of all, I forgot to let y'all know. We went 12 of 21 on third downs, which is pretty good. And the Eagles went 5 of 8, which isn't terrible for the defense. They made plays when they had to. We went 1 for 1 on fourth downs. We ran 81 plays to their 47, like I already said. We had 330 total yards to their 264. We each had 10 drives. I mean, technically, that's just how the game goes, though. You go back and forth. We had 4.1 yards per play to their 5.6. I mean, we had more passing yards than them, 178 to 170, and we had more rushing yards than them, 152 to 94. Penalties, we had 5 for 58. They had 7 for 75. Not a big difference, but they had 4 turnovers to our 2. They had 3 fumbles lost and an interception. We had 1 fumble loss and 1 interception. Technically had that last touchdown. I mean, that don't count. But Joey Slye was a demon today. Straight demon. We were so nervous this whole year, him missing 30-yarders. Today, he came in and made a 58, a 55, and then all of the other ones he had to make. He went 2 for 2 on extra points and went 4 for 4 on field goals, including, again, a 58 and I believe a 55. On the logo, deep in the logo, nobody expected him to make it, and he drilled it. The problem with him has never been leg strength, though. If you go look at Joey Slye, he literally looks like we need to throw him in at linebacker while Cole Holcomb and David Mayo are hurt. He literally looks like he's built bigger than John Bostic, literally. But so the problem's never been strength; it's been accuracy. And today he was accurate, and that's huge. We may have a franchise kicker on our hands. I know we were starting to kind of regret it because Joey Slye's been a little inconsistent. Dustin Hopkins kicking game winners for the Chargers, but today just reaffirmed that we're good. We're good. He may have his slight inconsistencies at times, but to make a 58 and a 55-yarder were huge, especially at the times when they did it. It's a completely different game. Granted, we ended up winning 32-21. You take away that fake touchdown, it's 26-21. You take away those 2 55-plus yarders, we lose by 1 point. But even worse than that, if you think about it, just think about it. If we're not up at the time that we're up, and the Eagles are not doing everything they can to try to score a game-winning touchdown, if they're up and they're trying to waste the clock, and then it's on Taylor Heineke's shoulders to lead a game-winning drive, you know how different this game is just from Joey Slye missing those kicks. And then even on top of that, another layer. If he misses those kicks, the Eagles start on offense on like the 40-yard line or 45-yard line or something like that, rather than the 25 after we kick it off. You see what I'm saying? Like, that was a huge domino effect of thank goodness for Joey Slye. Without him making those kicks, we more than likely don't win this game. If we do, it's way more stressful than it was. Oh, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. I really appreciate y'all. Shouts out to everybody in the chat, everybody that donated, everybody that became a channel member, or all of the people that are already channel members that extended their memberships. Shouts out to all of y'all, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now, man. I really appreciate y'all. Great win. I hope I didn't forget any points. I think I covered most of it. Probably add some new stuff in another video. Catch y'all later. I'm out.